Hello and welcome to the Art of Trying podcast. How are you, Mum?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not doing too bad. So this is episode 1 of the Art of Trying, and I think we're both very excited.
Very excited. Bit nervous,
Excited?
very excited.
Bit nervous, excited. Okay, so the Art of Trying. First of all, we'll start off with who we are. People need to know. My name's Brad.
I'm Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa. We're both trudgets, mother and son.
We are.
And we decided to start this podcast, The Art of Trying, because, well, I think we're both bored at the moment, being hashtag stay at home.
And it's all about trying.
It certainly is. Certainly is. It's all about trying, and we're both so it's sort of about entrepreneurship and artistry and creativity and all that sort of stuff. It's just a podcast of our lives and us trying to be successful, I suppose, in both
our
fields. Yeah.
For sure.
So the aim of the podcast is, my aim for the podcast anyway, is to get to at least 100 episodes, no matter how many people listen to it.
That's a lot of talking.
It's a lot of talking, but it'll be worth it, hopefully.
Crossed.
So
no, we'll be fine.
First of all, let's introduce who we are and talk about what we do. Mun, do you want to go first?
Why not?
Want to talk about who you are and fancy
chuck me under the
and all
bus
that sort
straight
of
away.
stuff? Well, why not?
Why not? Why not indeed? Thanks, Brad. All right. So I am the founder and owner of Fancy Fondant Cake Decorations. And that's Fancy Fondant, Brad. Not Fancy
I know. I
Fondants.
tend to call it Fancy Fondants.
You do, and it's even on my sheet, I noticed. But I don't think that's going to change now.
Probably not,
No. So I founded that in 2016 when I'd really lost my mojo with my career, been in education for 13 years or so. Just wasn't feeling it anymore. And I wanted to find a creative side, even though I'm actually even now still say I'm not creative at all. But Fancy Fondant is about making cake toppers primarily for both professionals and home hobby bakers. I think my idea originally was more to help people that were going to make their own cakes at home, and just the finishing touch to give that home baked cake a professional look, if you like. But there's a lot of cake makers out there that don't do that side of it. So there's the bakers and then there's the decorators, and I'm definitely a decorator, not a baker. I help them out too. So
when did you start Fancy Fondant? I can't remember.
It was 2016 when I first started modelling, but I started Fancy Fondant in the January of 2018. I left my job in 2017 and started Fancy Fondant in 2018.
Fantastic.
So, it feels like it's been a long road, but you know, and to be honest, I'm still at the very, very beginning of it.
You are.
But it's exciting. So
it's only just begun.
It has, really. Yeah. I mean, lots of new ventures coming up. Hopefully at some point this year, I'll be starting a new venture, Cake Minds, but we can go into that another time. So it's really, really early days. But it's exciting and I'm loving it. So
well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So what about you?
My story. Oh goodness. So I would.
We haven't got long.
I would call myself an actor, and we'll go into at another time how long it took me to refer to myself as an actor. But yeah, first and foremost, I'm an actor. I've not done a lot of stuff at the moment. I've done my formal training. I've done a few films. I've done a couple of stage plays. but that's all at the moment. I mean, again, just like you with Fancy Fondant, I'm in the very, very, very beginning stages of that part of my career. And obviously, like a lot of artists, whether you're an actor, you're a singer, or whatever, there's not a lot of money coming through at the beginning stages. So I had to find a different source of income whilst I was supporting that. I started off being a bartender and a waiter. That was depressing.
Hospitality.
If anybody's ever worked in hospitality, which a lot of people in this industry do, it's just terrible and you get treated like crap. So I sort of started to hone my skills in marketing, and particularly social media marketing, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff. And I recently, at the end of last year, sort of began that side of my career, working as a social media content creator and marketing director of a company, which was going well until a certain thing happened, which we'll get into later on in this episode. But yeah, that's where I'm at the moment, or that's sort of my story and what I do and how I consider myself. So yeah, it's again, very much like you, a long road ahead. And what I'm hoping this podcast can do for me is to keep me accountable for my work and my career and everything like that in terms of being an actor, So I'm hoping that every single week we go along and I'm like, yeah, I did this new thing and I did this new thing. Yeah, we're going
to have new content.
Yeah, well, exactly. So it'll hopefully won't come to 1 week where I'm just like, I did nothing.
Like last week.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a bit about us, and where would you say that you are in your path to I don't want to say success, but in your path and your career at the moment? 2020, where are you right now with Fancy Fondant, or where are you just in life in general?
I'm still at the very beginning. Although I do recognize that I have come a long way already. And I think that's important to recognize sort of where you've come from and where you're wanting to get to. But also knowing what sort of paths there are there for you to do that. I think in the beginning, when I first started my business, it was just like, oh, I'm just going to be modeling. And then as you get further down that road, more paths open up. And there's always forks in the road, and then I started my teaching and my classes, and then I've got more things coming, hopefully at the end of this year. So although I'm still in the beginning of my journey, I'm well into it enough to know that there are going to be challenges along the way, and that I'm going to always meet a fork in the road somewhere, and that's going to take my business on somewhere else. So yeah, I think it's important to recognize each of your challenges as you're coming across them, but knowing that your business is always going to grow in some sort of way. So yeah, I am still at the beginning, and I'm at this tiny little acorn, but hopefully it's going to keep growing, but that depends on what you put into it,
Exactly.
So yeah.
So would you say, because you're doing quite a few different things at the moment, aren't you, through Fancy Fondant?
Yes. Yeah.
So would you say that as a small business or as a sort of sole trader that you are right now, would you say it's important to find all these different ventures and sort of push your business in different areas? Would you say that that's a really important thing to do? I
think it's important once you've established yourself. Don't spread yourself too thin at the beginning. Know where your strengths are at the beginning and work on those for sure. And then I think once you've got the experience and what's the word I'm looking for? The confidence, I guess, to go ahead and do something else, then for sure look at other avenues as well. Because I think that was what happened for me. I was modelling, and then I did miss a bit of the teaching side, as in I like teaching adults, which is what I was doing in education for a little while. And so I saw the challenge of teaching modelling, whereas 6 months prior I would have gone, nah, can't do that. And I think you realise as you go along your path in your journey of your business that there are things that not necessarily are working for you at the beginning, but as you go along, they do. And I think it's important to recognise those challenges and take them on when you've got the experience and the confidence to do it.
Yeah. That's cool.
So what about you and your business and your life and your acting? And
so, well, with acting's sort of taken a bit of a halt for me over the last, I'd say, 6 months. The last thing I did acting wise was at the end of last year, November, I did a stage play called Scarborough,
which was amazing, by the way.
Oh, well, stop it. It was a really, really fantastic experience. It was the first stage play I've ever done, and I got to work with some amazing actors and an amazing director, and just amazing artists in general. So that was really, really good. So that was the last thing I did in terms of acting, because I then, literally the week after, I started my my new job as a social media marketing creator and creating content and stuff like that, which was pretty much, I mean, it was a part-time role, but it was pretty much a full-time role at the beginning. So juggling that and acting, and I do filmmaking, I do writing as well. Juggling all of those things has been a real struggle. So I've got to be organized, which, as you know, I'm not.
Not always, no.
No. So it's been a bit of a struggle. I'm in a bit of a struggle point in my life and my career, but I've just got to sort of push through that, become a bit more organized, sort of prioritize what's important for me, what brings me joy, what brings me happiness, because that's what I'm trying to.
And that's important. That's really important.
It's what I'm trying to push for in life. It's because what a lot of people do is they push for, the fame, the fortune, the idea of success, right?
Yep.
But I'm trying to go for the happiness part of it. Because, I've heard so many stories about people becoming successful and reaching their goals, but they're not happy.
No. Yeah, I think the happiness has to come at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then you do what makes you happy, rather than doing something that you think is going to make you happy, and all you're ever doing is striving for happiness rather than the success.
Exactly.
That with success doesn't always come happiness, and I think a lot of people think that is true. And it's. But do you think that being in where we are right now with this COVID-19 and the coronavirus, that being at home and having the amount of time that you've got at home is going to help you refocus, or do you think that it makes you become a little bit more lazy?
On paper, it should theoretically help you become a lot more focused in what you want and where you want to go in life. It should make you sort of sit down and go, okay, well, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna plan everything.
Yeah, lists are great.
This is what I'm gonna do. Yeah, everything. Yeah, but that's not necessarily what's happened.
No.
For me, I've sort of I've hit that whole. I'm at home. I can sit down. I can watch TV. I can play games. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it as sort of this like little holiday from everything, and that's not a good thing.
No, I think a lot of people are in holiday mode. It's
they certainly are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But as you said earlier, during the podcast, makes you accountable. So
it certainly does.
Hopefully that will bring in some sort of structure and routine as well. And I think that's important, actually. I do find that having the studio, it's easier for me to have a structure and get up and have a reason to come in here every day. I don't want to walk past it and think, oh God, I should be in there. I should be doing something. And Yeah. For
it's
sure.
really good to have a space like that.
And it's nice to be able to shut the doors on it as well at the end of the day and know that that's my workspace. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So with let's talk about COVID-19. Let's talk about coronavirus, because obviously it's we can't not talk about it.
No.
Because it's a global pandemic. Mm-hmm. Actually, pandemic means global, doesn't it?
Yes, a pandemic is when it's global, and
so I don't need to say global pandemic.
No, it's just a pandemic.
Just say pandemic. I'll just say pandemic. So it's a pandemic. Obviously, it's impacted a hell of a lot of people. In fact, it's impacted the world essentially. There's a lot of countries
why it's
that
a pandemic.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. All right. So there's a lot of countries that have been hit really bad. You look at the US, you look at you look at Europe, Italy, France, the UK. They've all been hit incredibly bad. I suppose, and I was talking about this with you, I believe it was yesterday, that Australia, where we are, have done incredibly well to flatten that curve.
We have.
Because you look at our numbers compared to everywhere else, and we're doing really, really well in terms of stopping the spread.
Yeah.
So I think that's fantastic. Well done, Australia. If Australia are listening,
all four of them.
All four of them. Yeah. So how would you say the coronavirus and COVID-19 has affected your business? Because I know before this all sort of blew up, especially at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, your main focus with Fancy Fondant was your classes, right? With Cake Duchess.
Yeah, my classes were a huge part of my business, and hopefully still will be. I was teaching up until the beginning of March, and then I decided that having more than 5 people in a room wasn't acceptable anyway.
Exactly,
I didn't have the space, the footage to have that legally. So that side of my business has taken a back seat. However, and I guess this is where we become a little bit lazy. There's plenty of things I could have done or still can do in place of that. I can do online tutorials. I could do my classes via Zoom, for instance.
But would you say that's a little bit difficult because of the equipment that you've got to use?
Difficult, yes.
Because obviously because with your students you teach beginners, yeah?
But generally beginners. I mean, I probably wouldn't be able to do my 2-day course, which is my biggest class. But smaller tutorials I could definitely do. And I could put them on my website for people to download. Those are the sorts of things I probably should be doing.
Is there going to be anything like that? Are you sort of working on anything like that? Sort of converting your work to online?
Yes, this year that's on my list for this year.
It's on your list?
It's on my list.
Your to-do list. Always great to have a to-do list.
Yes, my to-do list. The only trouble with my to-do list is I tend to pick and choose what I want to do off my to-do list.
Yes.
Which is probably
I do that as well. I've got a to-do list. There's a really important one and a really hard one. And I go, I've got other things to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. That one's easier. I'll do that one today. So I could, and yes, I think now that, and if I find that my other side of work slides off a little bit, whereas I haven't got as many orders via my website, then I probably will make sure that I look into that and do it. I think for me, it's just the case of I haven't done video tutorials. I think once I've done one, I'll be all right. It's the same with anything, isn't it? It was the same with my classes. You put it off for so long because, it's too hard, goes in the too hard basket. yeah, so it will be something that I do. So that's the only thing that I sort of have seen with the virus where that's had an impact on my business. I don't feel so. I've lost income, but I don't feel like it's a huge impact just yet. And I have just started a new venture with new classes. So hopefully by the end of the year they'll be up and running, and so I shouldn't have had too much of a hit, but certainly so not like any other businesses.
You're using this time to sort of see how you're going to come out the other side of this pandemic, which not a lot of people are doing, which is fantastic. Because a lot of businesses are going, okay, well, we need to cut funding or we need to cut costs any way we can. But it sounds as though you're going, okay, this is what's happening right now. How do I come out the other side of this?
Yeah, it's certainly given me that time to refocus and decide where to go with my business after this. So and I think that's what's really nice actually, because obviously this year I wanted to do new classes as well, because I've got a base of students, and they don't want to be doing the same classes all the time. So I'm seeing this time as being able to just make new classes for them also. So it's not an idle time, and my hands are busy and my brain's busy, but it's just not making money. But I can see where it will eventually, So, and I think that's the way you have to be. You have to be forward thinking like that. You know, I could just sit around and say, I'm not going to do anything today. And believe me, actually, there are days like that. Of course, there are. I'm not going to say that there aren't. But it is nice to be able to switch off a bit and refocus.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where I feel like I'm at the moment, sort of just refocusing. But yeah, so it's, and I guess my days haven't really changed because I work from home and I'm always at home.
You do,
So the restriction of not being able to go out, yes, it would be nice if I could just, sometimes you think I'm bored, I'd go shopping. I haven't got that, but it's not a bad thing. So my husband tells me anyway. Your dad says his wallet's never been better. So yeah,
well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So do you think what about you and your lives? I think the biggest thing for me actually is, not from a business point of view, from a personal point of view, is just not seeing you guys. It's really hard. And I mean, FaceTime's great and all of those other applications that you can use. But it's hard when you can't reach out and touch someone and be there when you feel like you should, especially as a mum. I think that's really hard.
Yeah. It's sort of taken away those weekends or those weekday nights where we come over for dinner or all that sort of stuff.
But I guess when those happen again, it's not like they're not going to happen. That we'll we'll appreciate them that little bit more, I guess.
Yeah.
How's it affected you then, this coronavirus, and from just your life or your business or your acting point?
Well, the thing is, at the beginning, it didn't really affect me a lot. I still had my job. Acting obviously slowed down.
Yeah.
It slowed down for me anyway, but obviously now you can't exactly film something, because with a film set you need multiple people, and you can't do a film set without.
No, hence why we didn't have Home and Away for about 4 weeks.
Exactly. So obviously acting slowed down. That's complete, and that's not just for me. I've got a lot of friends in the industry. Everybody has just completely slowed down, which has affected a lot of artists who rely on acting as a sole income, and then being sort of forgotten about by the government with Job Seeker and JobKeeper and all that sort of stuff.
So it's certainly an industry really, that has lost out, isn't it?
It certainly is. When you consider that this is the industry that everybody is turning to right now.
Yeah.
In their times of isolation and quarantine, they're just watching.
I haven't watched so much
Netflix
telly. It's crazy.
Exactly. The artists are the people that everyone's sort of relying on, but the artists are the people that everyone's forgetting about.
Yeah.
but obviously the main impact that this has had on me is I did lose my job because of it, which I had a feeling was going to happen. I was sort of in the unlucky position of my contract was coming to an end at the end of March. And so they basically said, look, with everything that's happening, with shutdowns sort of imminent, we're not going to renew your contract at the moment. So unfortunately, I lost my job. Fortunately, I managed to get onto the government's job seeker program. I wasn't eligible for the job keeper, but I managed to get onto the job seeker program, which is helping, obviously, with income.
Yeah.
Whilst this pandemic is going on, but as I said, in terms of the acting side, that was already frozen anyway. You know, there was nothing happening there, and now there's nothing happening for anybody because we can't do anything. So it's sort of I've got to sort of look at this time and go, how can I use this time to my advantage? How can I use this time to like you are? How do I use this time to come out of the other side carrying on?
Yeah,
if you know what I mean, not starting.
And it's hard because we don't know when that is.
Exactly. But it's just finding that motivation to not be lazy, to not sit down and watch TV, to not sit down and do nothing all day.
It's a tough one.
It certainly is. And I think a lot of people are in that position.
Absolutely. And it takes a lot of mental strength, I think.
Certainly does.
For us to not be that lazy and just and not be too hard on yourself too.
Yeah.
You know, if you do have a day where you just go, do you know what, I'm just going to veg out today and I'm going to binge watch something for 12 hours, then you know that's okay. Fine. You know, it's okay as long as you don't find yourself doing that every day and we come out the other end going, oh, I had all that time and I didn't do anything.
Exactly. And, you know? and the problem is a lot of businesses are doing that. Not in terms of all the businesses sitting down and watching TV, but all the businesses are sort of, like I said, they're cutting funding of everything, particularly their sort of their marketing divisions.
Yeah.
And I've seen it.
When actually this is probably a time when they
should be pushing that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Considering you look at the stats of social media usage is through the roof right now. Yeah. During business hours, video watching is through the roof right now. So those stats should tell small businesses and other businesses that no, we need to keep pushing this.
Yeah,
we need to keep pushing
Absolutely.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I've done with this venture with Cake Minds is I'm doing it now, but I'm going to start advertising now.
Perfect.
So that come, I don't know, September, October time, hopefully fingers crossed, or even, you know, later, you know, I've got those students already in place.
Exactly.
And I can start, rather than looking at that time and going, okay, so that's when I'll start my classes, I'll start advertising then. It's, I mean, you're not going to get everyone, but you just need to keep it going.
You need to keep that brand awareness up.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same for artists than it is with small businesses. I mean, artists are small businesses, essentially.
Yes. Of course, yeah.
And I should really practice what I preach.
Shouldn't we all?
You know, but we need to be keeping up those keeping up appearances, essentially. Keeping, you know, whether it's an actor posting a self-tape that they did or a throwback to a film that they did a couple of years ago or something like that. It's keeping up appearances, it's keeping up that brand awareness. So when we do come out of the other side, we can just carry on with where we were. And not starting from the bottom, you know. Yeah.
Yep, I definitely agree. So get yourself out there, Brad.
Oh, I know. I know. It's so weird. I was thinking of everything I was going to say in this podcast, and I'll say that, and I'll talk about, you know, pushing yourself on socials. And it's like I haven't done any of that.
No, I know.
I think the last thing I posted on socials was a picture of my cat.
Yes, I've given Instagram a wide berth just recently, and I'm realizing now that it's a mistake. I shouldn't be. I should be up there.
Got to keep that engagement going.
Just gotta keep it going
because that's all people are doing right now.
Yeah,
because they're literally sat on their phones, sat on their socials.
And do you know what's great? You don't have to wait for a time at the moment, because your audience is just there all the time.
Exactly.
So it's not like it used to be get to 8 o'clock or past 8 o'clock and I go, oh, damn, I missed it tonight. Must do it tomorrow.
But now you could probably post during the middle of the day.
Now. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You could post a video or something during the middle of the day. Chances are.
I'm finding my interactions on Facebook and stuff are just the same, even though I'm posting at different times.
Yeah.
So there's no excuses.
There certainly is not. There certainly is
only
not.
Our own laziness.
Exactly. That's not really an excuse either.
No, it is not.
So to conclude, we're gonna play a little game, sort of keep it light, keep it breezy. It's a word.
Can't promise you I'm going to be any good at it.
It's a word tennis game.
Right.
So
yes.
I'll start off. I'll think of a word.
Of course. Okay.
You then say the exact same word. Not the exact same word. You say the first word that comes to your head.
That's related to the word that you said.
Well, it doesn't have to be related to the word. It's the first word that comes to your head.
No. It does have to be related because otherwise you could just sit here all day saying words.
Well, say, for instance, I say... words coming to my head. I say camera. And the first word that comes to your head is cheese.
Then I would say...
It's not necessarily related, no, but it's the first word that came to your head. And that's interesting because why did you think of cheese when I say camera?
You can't change the rules.
It's not what do you mean changing the rules?
Word tennis is word association.
Okay, fine.
So therefore the words have got to be associated.
Fine.
Well, otherwise we'll be here till episode 2.
Okay, fine. We'll do word association, which can be interesting but also slightly boring compared to what I was going to suggest, but whatever.
Oh, camera and cheese.
Yeah, well, you never know.
Go on, go. You never know. You want the first word,
okay,
go.
I'll do the first word. Success.
Failure.
First word that comes.
That wasn't.
Wow, you went straight to a really depressing.
I did. I was like, this is supposed to be uplifting. We just went straight with. This is supposed to be a podcast about success.
About success and about triumphing in our journeys, and you just went failure. Okay. So why don't we
do another one?
Why don't we start that again and we'll go with a different word that doesn't make you say failure. Okay.
All right.
Let's go. Business.
Opportunity.
Seizing.
Okay.
Sort of threw a curveball at you with that one, didn't I?
Yeah. I think that's a doing word. Are you allowed to do doing words?
I don't know.
No.
Well, you sort of changed the rules that I made up.
Okay, so this is going really well. Let's try and think about objects.
Okay,
then.
fine. Do you know what? Why don't you start this time? Why don't you start the word?
Yes. Okay, I will. I will start. So, pen.
Pencil.
Drawing.
Art.
Craft.
Design.
Shapes.
Symbols.
Dollar sign.
Money.
Rich.
Poor.
We've gone depressing again.
We have.
Nah, you got me.
We're done. Okay, well, we'll leave that there. I think that was a mild success, if not a mild failure.
Yeah. Oh dear.
But
yeah.
thank you very much to however many listeners there are, whether that's 4 or 100 or none. Thank you.
None.
Thank you very much.
I enjoyed it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, Mum, for sitting down with me and chatting about everything we chatted about.
That's been good, Brad.
It's been
fantastic. Really good.
Follow us on social media.
Yes, please.
Comment if you want us to chat about anything in particular. Comment.
Yeah.
Send us a message. Send us DMs. Anything. Please talk to us so we know what to talk about.
Please.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. This has been The Art of Trying. We'll see you next episode. Thanks.
Thanks.